The Reformation by John Oshinsky.
And Julia Ita.
Prelude to the Reformation. What sparked the Reformation?
So, some Renaissance ideals include classical learning, which is a revival of Roman and Greek literature, humanism, which believed in the human potential and the ideal human being, the Renaissance state, which is new monarchies that were born out of the Renaissance, and the commercial revolution, which was sparked by the Columbian exchange between America and Europe.
Christian humanism. One of the chief ideas of Christian humanism was rooted in studying the classics through the works of Christian fathers such as St. Augustine, Ambrose, and Jerome. They believed that by educating themselves in the classic, especially works focused on Christianity, they can help reform the church and society through religion. They also led them to giving support to schools, helping bring out new editions of the classics, and helping develop new versions of the Bible and writings of church leaders. Erasmus, in specific, helped develop and spread the ideals of Christian humanism through his works. Christian humanism regards humanist principles like universal human dignity and individual freedom and the primacy of human happiness mixed with Jesus' teachings.
Martin Luther and the Reformation in Germany.
The 95 Thesis was written by Martin Luther to protest the selling of indulgences by the church. He believed that selling people these indulgences was unjust and goes against the religion, as it was very clear that the church was selling these just for money. He disagreed with the level of papal authority given within the church, and he denied the authority given to the actual pope. And because of these somewhat radical ideals to the church, that's how the church would view them at least, he was excommunicated.
Why did the movement spread? So, in terms of politics, Lutheranism spread because many princes and imperial cities converted, allowing Lutheranism to spread within these kingdoms. Many of these people converted due to the fact that Lutheranism did not require a Catholic tax, and these princes could keep most of their money within their own territory. In terms of social conditions, lower-class people believed that Lutheranism promoted equality, even though this wasn't necessarily true. Because of this support, the Lutheranism was allowed to have access to a much larger base than Catholicism.
Catholicism versus what happened in the Reformation. So, during the Reformation, a lot of people began to point out the unjust things that the church was actually doing, such as indulgences and selling them, transubstantiation, church traditions, and mass. And the church reacted in kind of two opposite ways. One of them was creating an imperial army to fight the Protestant, while the other one was to kind of accept the criticisms and try to reform itself.
The spread of the Protestant Reformation. What is Lutheranism? So Lutheranism is a sect of Christianity born out of the Reformation. They believed in the Holy Trinity, which is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, which is the most important pillars of this religion. They believe that the Bible shows the way that humans should truly conduct themselves, showing the way to be like the ultimate Christian person. They believed that at birth, people should be baptized, and that God decides whether or not you can be saved, not based on action. So basically, this means that good works will not help you at all, that God decides whether or not you can be saved, and no matter what you do in your life, this will not change his decision.
So other belief systems that came out of the Reformation were Calvinism. So Calvinism believed that the Bible is its absolute authority, and one of its main points that it's kind of known for was the idea of predestination, or the idea that when you're born, your salvation is already decided. So it's decided whether you will be you will have salvation or you won't. And basically anything you do in your life can't affect that at all because it's already decided for you. But they also preach the idea of being a good person. They didn't want you to be bad. So like the goodness was preached in the religion.
Another belief system was Zwingli. So Zwingli believed that the Bible is the absolute authority, meaning that the Bible is what you should listen to in life no matter what. They believed that in life you should practice baptism and the Lord's Supper. And the Lord's Supper is basically Mass and like praising Jesus. They believed that faith offers salvation, which basically means that you should give everything into your religion, and that's how you receive salvation. Also, they believed that that predestination was like a huge thing, so you don't really have any free will in life, and God decides, and He already has decided where you're going to be.
The last belief system that came out of the Reformation was Anabaptism, and this was a form of radical Protestantism. They believed in memorial and remembrance, similar to Zwingli, free will, and most importantly, the separation of church and state.
How do these new religions differ from Catholicism? So the main ways that these religions differ was that they were not open at all to selling indulgences. They believed that this practice was very wrong, at that no religion should ever practice this because it was totally unjust. They also believed that the Pope should not have absolute authority and that people should be more equal within the religion, not giving one person all the power. Lutheranism and others stressed a faith in God, so they do not really believe in good works, but that you should have an extreme faith in your religion and always fall to it whenever you're questioning something. And some also believed in the practice of predestination, which was not believed in Christianity. So this means that God has already decided where your soul will go after death, but you should still be a good person because that still matters.
The social impact of the Protestant Reformation.
You guys see Mr. Gross?
Oh no, we're just recording something for Euro. The impact of the Reformation on family life. The Reformation helped spread the ideals of family life over celibacy. Family was the center of life, and true love between married partners was very important.
The impact of the Reformation on the role/lives of women. So in terms of women in the family life, motherhood was one of only two possible professions, the other being a part of a convent or being a prostitute, and that they believed that motherhood was very important. Another part of women and the family life is that it's the woman's job to educate children in the Christian manner, to teach them how to be good Christian people when they grow up, and that women should also be educated in how to run a household. Reformation religions actually offered more education to women than Christianity, but still not enough. In terms of society, the only alternative to motherhood for women was to become a prostitute, and that women should not be very educated in comparison to men, but that they should still go to school so that they can learn to educate their Christian children. In terms of the church, many Reformation religions destroyed convents. Women could not choose to become nuns or religious figures over motherhood, which kind of gives them less options in life.
So, how Protestantism appealed to all social classes. So, it appealed to the poor because they did not need money for salvation because they weren't buying indulgences. They liked the individuality that came with it, and they liked how the new religion challenged the Christian authority that was in place before. The middle class liked it because they liked how the education was used for faith and professions. They didn't have to rely on indulgences for salvation as well. It was more about education, faith, stuff like that. The upper class liked Protestantism because it allowed alienated political powers to retake control of the land that belonged to the church, and that they were very easily able to control money. The Catholic Reformation.
How did the Catholic Church try to reform itself? So, one way that the Catholic Church tried to reform itself is by reviving the papacy and helping renew old religious orders while developing new ones. Also, it reformed the use of the traditional Catholic doctrine and developed at the Council of Trent. By reviving old religious orders such as Benedictine and Dominican, they were able to destroy the corrupt practices plaguing the church. They also helped create many new orders such as Capuchin, Theatine, and the Jesuits, who helped establish schools that aided in the spread of humanism, the conversion of others, and the fight against Protestantism. No, no.
Slight error there.
In reaffirming Catholic teachings, the Catholic Reformation came full circles. The clergy met in Trent to resolve the differences between doctrines. Moderates who desired compromise debated the conservatives who didn't, and the conservatives won. Some reform was established, but mostly old beliefs were reaffirmed, such as the 7 sacraments, indulgences, and transubstantiation. Overall, the Council of Trent basically helped to unify the Catholic Church under one common doctrine.
Politics and war of the 16th century. How did political religion, and social/economic conditions affect the wars of the 16th century? So,
How did political, religious, and social/economic conditions affect the wars of the 16th century? In terms of politics, the French monarchy began to grow in power, and the towns, provinces, and Calvinist nobles united against them to fight against the centralized monarchy. During this time, a group known as the Politiques emerged. They believed that politics was the most important and that religion could not be valued over the ravages of civil war. In terms of religion, the French Wars of Religion, which was fought between the Huguenots, Guises, and Valois, helped reaffirm the Catholic Church's idea of superiority over others due to the fact that they greatly overpowered the Calvinists and believed that they shouldn't have to compromise with the new denominations, as they were the most powerful and do not have to listen to anyone. Also, St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre helped spark the French Wars because the Guises ordered the massacre of Huguenots. In terms of social and economic conditions, the different social and economic classes of society practiced different forms of religion and different sects, which sparked disagreement and civil war within states as the debates of religion grew more violent.
how did the Reformation change the relationship between states and religious authorities? Luther changed how people viewed the Pope and, in retrospect, weakened the Pope's authority. This caused people to view the Pope as more of a greedy figure, and they put less faith in the Roman Catholic Church.
How did religion, dynastic rivalry, and commercial interests interact as causes of the religious wars? So the clashing sects of Protestantism combined with the tensions between rival aristocratic families and desperation to achieve political goals and gain power all led to strong forces rallying behind religious sects and causing religious wars. So this basically means that all these new different sects were practiced by different levels of social classes, and this kind of resulted in intense civil wars to break out as they couldn't really find a common ground to agree on.
How do religious wars and social dislocation impact society and culture? Religious wars divided different social classes due to conflicting beliefs, such as the rich and the poor. Difficult for both sides to compromise and make peace. Why would both them compromise when they both want different things? And European culture is in a constant discord, so there was kind of craziness all over Europe at this time. Different ideas, different beliefs, different social classes, all clashing. And that's it.
That's all, guys. Thank you. Goodbye.